Hello and welcome to my top 5 upcoming RPGs of 2019. This analysis places storytelling at the top of my criteria. That doesn't mean a preference to certain elements or genres of stories, but the level of potential quality and expressions found therein. Number 5, Phoenix Point. Legendary game designer Julian Gollop, the designer of XCOM in the 90s, created his own studio, Snapshot Games, and decided to build the ultimate XCOM experience. His latest game he released from his company is a turn-based one called Chaos Reborn, which was also crowdfunded successfully. Phoenix Point, being the spiritual successor to XCOM, is using his 90s XCOM apocalypse as the basis. Phoenix Point is an open world, has AI-controlled human factions, procedural generation, emergent gameplay, and has some 4X elements. Gameplay is closer to XCOM 2 from 2016 and takes inspiration from Fallout in being able to target specific parts of an enemy's body. Enemies can mutate during combat based on previous interactions with them, having them adapt to your playstyle. You can exploit the 3 main human factions by kidnapping, sabotage, assassinations, and military coups. There's diplomacy, trading, alliance making, and downright going to their bases and saving them from alien attacks. Aside from having every class use every weapon, there are vehicles, large boss battles, and destroyable structures. But the most interesting aspect of gameplay is the manual aiming, with the removal of dice rolls to connect. You will always connect with your aiming reticule, but that won't guarantee an accurate hit of what you're aiming at. If you miss, you'll just end up hitting some other part of the enemy's body. This looks like a fantastic turn-based XCOM experience from the original co-creator of the franchise. Number 4, Biomutant. Coming from an ex-Just Cause and Mad Max developers, this is an action-adventure game with so many things in it, it's hard to keep track of. Plague is destroying the land and the Tree of Life is dying. You have to go save the tree's 5 roots, and that involves having anthropomorphic tribes fight for domination and survival. There's a series of vehicles you can navigate and fight in with. There's jet skis, mechs, air balloons, paragliders, or random mounts per location. You even get a robotic sidekick to customize. There's a combo system reminiscent of Devil May Cry. You can construct and modify your ranged and melee weapons like revolvers, rifles, and shotguns, as well as learn techniques from teachers. You can equip a jetpack, a gas mask, an oxygen tank, thermal clothing, gear to protect against toxicity. Apparently you can even change your genetic structure to change how you look and how you play. This impacts things like being able to unlock telekinetic powers, allowing you to levitate and move objects. And this is all within a colorful post-apocalyptic open world. And apparently your choices do in fact matter. I don't have much information on that, but that was one of the main selling points, next to all this other crazy amount of stuff you can do in this game. It's a Secret of Mana meets Devil May Cry meets every other game, apparently. I'm guessing there's no diplomatic playthrough though. This has been pushed back for a while, so this is hopefully the year it comes out. Number 3. Fire Emblem 3 Houses. Coming to the Nintendo Switch, you've got the next iteration of the Fire Emblem franchise, but not just any. It's now the super anime-inspired JRPG. It takes place in a military magical academy setting where you're one of the teachers and your dad is the mercenary Geralt.
Led by your father, Geralt.
That's so original. Where have I heard this before? You arrive at Kaer Garing Mach, and then teach these 3 houses the ways of the Witcher. The ways of Hogwarts. You Pokemon some students, give them weapons, and have them beat each other up, and their bonds increase. The 3 houses are all different kingdoms, and you have some hidden power. You see visions of an anime chick in your head. There are anime cutscenes. There's voice acting. You can choose a male or female hero. You have blue hair. Yeah, pretty much standard anime stuff. And to the fact, this is a Fire Emblem series, which has a marriage system, and now you're wondering who you can marry and have kids with, which are hopefully not the kids you teach. Yep, this is the ultimate waifu husbando anime JRPG sim of the decade. Maybe everyone wanted more after Persona 5. Throw all your tropes in a pot, stir and simmer until boiling, and you got the 3 houses. Number 2, Disco Elysium. You wake up as a drunk, amnesic detective who's got a murder to solve. There's lots of choices to be made and some RNG stats on choices to make things a bit unpredictable. It's an isometric style-based adventure game with choice-based combat, if you can call it that. There's no real-time with pause or turn-based combat engines, but the action sequences are literature-heavy showdowns. Your skills are organized by portraits based on the type of detective you remember yourself being. There seems to be some kind of internal monologue as these voices in your head tell you certain things. With different kinds of multiple choices to be made, the concept of failure is embraced, causing you to solve or get past sections even if they didn't go the way you expected. There's also a certain style of contemporary drama and comedy that is uncommon in these kinds of games. It has a grim, somber visual style all its own, without being a fantasy or surrealistic setting. And before I get to the top choice, let's look at some honorable mentions. Number 1, The Outer Worlds. Created by legendary developer Tim Kaine, designed by Leonard Boyarsky, The Outer Worlds looks like a Fallout in space, with a much more linear storyline. With a focus on comedy and RPG mechanics, this new Obsidian story does a new twist on the dialogue system, as it looks to be the Fallout we've been waiting for. Catherine Starks is the writer, who has also worked on Pillars of Eternity 2, Tyranny, and MMOs Wildstar and Fallen Earth. She has also graduated in a creative writing degree and has a few writing chops to back it up. TOW is an FPS with a linear story and all the markings of a great simple game we can come to expect from Obsidian. It has a simple companion system, no relationships, lore based on corporations similar to the design of guns in Borderlands. Similar to BioWare before getting bought out by Microsoft, The Outer Worlds was being worked on before it got bought out by Microsoft. With some legendary talent, some fantastic interviews from various game sites, and a killer trailer, this is looking to be one of the best RPGs of 2019. Thanks for watching. I'm sure I missed a few dozen RPGs that are coming out this year. What games are you looking forward to most?